All right, so Albert Breer is caught up with something we've been saying. Albert Breer, Sports Illustrated. The Lions' obvious window to win a Super Bowl is 2 years. 2024 and 2025, they are not taking killer cap hits in spite of these massive contracts. So this year and next year. In 2026, the cap numbers balloon for Amon-Ra, for Goff, and for Sewell. In 2025, so next year, the cap hit, this is the first year of the extension for the three of them, Amon-Ra, Penei, and Goff. They will pay the three of them $55.95 million. $55.95 for the three of them.
For which year?
2025. So that's next year. Not this coming season, but the one after. In 2026,
here we go.
The cap hit for the three of them, for Goff, it goes to 69.6, Amon-Ra 33.1, Sewell 28. So they'll go from 55.95 committed to them in 2025 to $130.7 million committed to them in 2026. So yesterday, Albert Breer did a story about, kind of bringing the rest of the country up to speed. There's an obvious 2-year window here where they still have some flexibility under the cap. They can add salary this year. Hell, they can add salary next year. 2026, Albert Breer wrote, is where Brad Holmes probably goes to a Rams-style template, which is we're going to be top-heavy, extraordinarily top-heavy, but I'm populating the roster with cheaper guys that I get out of the draft. He's betting on himself, like we said last week when the Goff contract got signed. So, the question is sustainability beyond, because we also came out with that list yesterday, the Pro Football Focus list, where 20% of the list of top players in the league under the age of 25 were Detroit Lions. They had 5 players on the list. No other team had more than 2. And the Lions had 5. Penei Sewell is a top player under 25 in the league. I don't remember everybody else's rating, but it was Amon-Ra was like 6 maybe. Aiden Hutchinson was 11.
I think Hutch was higher than Amon-Ra. Hutch was like 6. I think Amon-Ra was 11. And then you had Jahmyr Gibbs was at was it Laporta before Gibbs?
Laporta was like 18 and Gibbs was 21.
21.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of badass, this roster they put together. The problem is those guys are many of them are going to have money due in the next year or two. It's going to get really tricky. You have to crush it in the draft for sustainability, but I don't know what choice you have. They have a Super Bowl caliber team right now. It would be stupid to take any steps backwards, in my opinion. You have to try to capitalize. And so, they got 2 years here where they can really go for it. 3 years from now, this is where you might have to take some hits on the roster. It just is what it is. Now, where you
see where the cap is.
Yeah, the cap, we've done the standard cap, inflation rate is like 13.75%. It won't account for an $80 million difference between 2024 and 2025 and 2026. But you can renegotiate guys' contracts.
Well, that's the thing, is that as the next contracts come up, the Aiden Hutchinsons of the world, that's it's another opportunity to renegotiate. Or to restructure, I should say, not renegotiate, but restructure. And they'll have guys, there are other decisions to make. I keep talking about Lee McNeil. He's going to get between $15 and $20 million.
Yep.
How do you do that? Well, if you can do it, but delay when the hit takes place, if it comes in 2027 as opposed to 2026, and they're going to find ways to do it. I feel less confident now that the Commanders have the Lions cap guy, one of the cap guys.
Yeah.
But it's just it's the NFL. I mean, the cap keeps going up, and you've got to find your windows of opportunity here while you have the good players and while you have the space to do it. But it will close. It will definitely close. And I'm curious to see what the strategy is 4 years down the line. Is it going to be, are we going to see the next couple of years, are they going to start trading away some players to get draft capital to replenish what they've done?
Third, fourth, fifth round picks don't cost nearly as much. If you load up on those, the hit rate is, not as great, clearly, as if they, have a bunch of first-round picks. But if you have third, fourth, and fifth-round picks, you don't have to pay them anything. And if you got to hit on enough and hope that your high-end players carry you. Now, the other thing about 2026, I don't anticipate this. I can't specifically say who it's going to be. But there's somebody right now on our roster that we really like as a player that in 2026 we probably won't.
Correct.
Yeah, that either gets ravaged by injuries or takes a step back, or a younger player is better than them and replaces him. And I think all parties involved, Goff, Amon-Ra, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aleem McNeil, all these young players that we love and want to see signed long-term, you can almost guarantee that come 2026, one of those guys you're not going to want. It's just the way it is. And I don't know who it is, and I can't anticipate who it is, but there's going to be a lot of football to be played between now and then. And, ideally, I guess, Mekhi Wingo, renders Aleem McNeil irrelevant. Example.
Yeah,
Example.
Robert Martin.
Yeah, I'm just coming up with something of that nature. Antoine Green turns out to be elite. I'm grasping at straws, but you get the point.
No, I hear you. But how about that James Houston? But James Houston's coming up soon.
Yeah,
he's entering year 3 of 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they have ways to do it. The other thing is, it's that patience and pounds thing I talk about. When it comes to free agency, they've done it well. They haven't gone and spent a whole lot of money on free agency, but they have gotten quality. At least on paper, it's been quality. So far over the last couple of years, it hasn't resulted on the field because the guys got hurt, right? Or it was just a flat-out flop when it came to receivers the first offseason that they had to work with. But I have more confidence that Brad Holmes knows what he's doing, and that this patient approach, waiting for free agency to go through for a little bit, and then you can get guys on the cheap for one-year deals, this is probably going to be the norm with this team. They're going to have to supplement their roster with a bunch of one-year contracts for guys that are making the single $1 million digit deals.
So anyway, like I said, feels like the national media is catching up to something we've been talking about, but it's 2-year window, 2-year obvious window, people. It gets tricky in year 3 moving forward.